Oh, hello. Hi. Welcome to Honest Trailer Commentaries, the show where we will do a in-depth, deep dive into every wow. Sean Connery, James Bond.
Why hasn't James Caan ever played James Bond? I feel like
Scott Conn. I think
or Scott, one of the Cons.
Make Scott Conn Bond. We're going to watch the trailer together. We're going to catch some deleted scenes. We'll answer questions and comments from all of you. So keep those coming in the chat. We'll tease you with next week's Honest Trailer. It's seasonal. You'll love it. I'm here with Lon, just two boys talking Bond today, cracking open a snifter of brandy from a very particular year that we can tell with our nose.
No, it's a sherry. The sherries usually don't have a year, but Bond can tell the vintage of the grape that was turned into the sherry. You see,
so much refinement in that brutal killing and effing machine. He sure knew his vintage. And yeah, I mean, let's open it up. It's like, what was it like to revisit films that I've certainly seen multiple times? And what's your Bond history, and how did you feel on this rewatch?
I'm a big fan of the Bonds. My dad was not very into movies when I was growing up, so this was not like I got really into movies. This was not a thing that we shared, except he loves Bond and like spy stuff. So this was like one of the few things that my dad and I, in terms of movies, could really enjoy together. So I always grew up enjoying this series in particular. I was like impressionable and in high school and really getting into movies during the peak Brosnan era. So I loved GoldenEye, and I still think like Tomorrow Never Dies World is not enough fun. I enjoy this. So I got when the Blu-ray box set of all the Bonds came out, like right around the time Spectre hit theaters, I think. I bought that and I marathoned the whole thing. So that was the last time I'd watched the Connerys until we made this Honest Trailer. So I was already fairly familiar.
Yeah. And, I'd never watched them all in order and sat down and watched it from the beginning. It was always kind of hodgepodge growing up. Like I'd see a Pierce Brosnan one in theaters, and then I'd go see a random Roger Moore one on TNT or whatever.
Exactly. It's like they're doing a Bond marathon and you happen to tune in during For Your Eyes Only. And it's like, well, I'm watching this one now.
But it was super interesting to see it evolve, from Dr. No onward, as far as the tropes kind of solidifying and like taking their final form slowly, and also just like watching action cinema evolve, like what passed for an action sequence in Dr. No and what passed for an action sequence in, I don't know, so like You Only Live Twice, which is my favorite Bond, it turns out.
Oh yeah, for sure. That one, to me, Goldfinger and You Only Live Twice are like clearly the high watermark of the Connery era. All the others there's stuff I like in them, but those two really stand apart.
And they were not well regarded. Well, Goldfinger was, but You Only Live Twice was not well regarded in its time, because it's like super Baroque, and it's like you have the volcano layers and the cheesiness and the over the top, everything about that. Rooms full of ninjas, and yet I think in hindsight, that's what's fun about old James Bond is like the goofy stuff. I
think what we respond to, especially in the like post Austin Powers era, is like that the very mod, the over the top, almost cartoonish level of it is what we sort of remember best. There's a laser coming and it's about to hit his crotch, and then like that stuff. And I think that's what those two movies capture better than some of the others that are more, like the Ian Fleming books, where they're a little bit more serious and they're really kind of trying to be about this cool spy instead of making it, silly and campy and fun.
But even though it was silly and campy, it's of an era where they had to either build everything themselves or find real locations. And it's just a cool snapshot of the world in the 60s, of like the amazing places they could find and stick Bond in, or the weird, the actual layers that they would have to build on a soundstage, I guess. I don't know. They didn't actually find a volcano, but look, it just
almost all of those are just Ken Adam decorated a soundstage and they made it look as impressive as they possibly could.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, that's one cool thing about going through the whole series is that it really does track just the development and evolution of action movies. Like they're always kind of interacting with whatever was going on at the time. Like Live and Let Die has like a blaxploitation sort of flavor because that was what was in the culture. And even to the Craigs, like, Casino Royale has that whole parkour sequence because everything was parkour in
definitely
those days.
Born franchise influenced. And if we kept going through Roger Moore, like Moonraker is basically like, well, what if Bond did a Star War?
Right. And they're consistently like that through the whole history of the series, which is fun now to go back because you kind of get these snapshots of all of these different eras. Like Thunderball, obviously you could tell there were breakthroughs in underwater photography. Like, it's so obvious that they got this equipment they were so excited to use. They were like, should we pick up the pace on this 20-minute scuba diving sequence?
No, people will be fascinated. They've never been under the water before.
Right. It's like, it was reminding me of the very first Star Trek movie, Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Which
is
my God, really a spaceship.
Cool. Right. 20 minutes of Kirk just going out to get on the Enterprise because they were so blown away by what they could do in terms of like models and photography.
They're certainly deliberately paced, all of these films. They get quicker, but boy, are they slow by modern standards.
I saw some other people talk about this, how much hotel stuff I know pops up in the trailer. There is so much hotel stuff. You always forget that part.
Part of the allure of Bond is checking into your hotel.
Yeah, I guess in the 60s it was still like an exotic, like a lot of people like had never checked into a hotel and like wanted to see what it is like.
Well, we'll see all that and more. Let's start and stop as we go through the trailer for every Sean Connery James Bond. Roll it. Gosh.
Most Scottish man.
Now that Daniel Craig has finally earned some time to die, revisit the 6 canonical films of The Best Damn James, not you, Bond, ever. Doesn't count.
So we should pause right there to, first of all, amazing graphics by Robert Holtby, per usual. Bravo.
Yeah.
He's in the UK. He has to do his motherland proud for James Bond.
This is a real time to shine for him. Yeah.
Yeah. He already had these prepped. He already had these ready to go when we asked him.
He's got a title for every classic Bond film. And
to explain that joke, Her Majesty's Secret Service was like Sean Connery retired and then came back, right? So that's this one-off aberration.
Australian George Lazenby playing English secret agent,
which is getting its deserved reevaluation. I think that's a really good Bond that tells you a lot about the modern ones. And then the Never Say Never Again one is this weird like rights dispute where they made Thunderball twice and they just dropped a boatload of money in Sean Connery's lap. But there was also Roger Moore was already James Bond and doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Do you care to explain?
Ian Fleming had an idea for Thunderball, which he was going to write as a Bond book, but then he didn't get around to writing the book, and they ended up turning that into the movie Thunderball. But then later, he was still like, well, it's my story. I'm going to turn it into a book anyway. So there was always back and forth about who owns Thunderball. Does it just belong to Ian Fleming? Does it belong to the people who wrote that movie with him? Does it belong to Eon Productions? Blah, 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 blah. So all kinds of legal disputes. That's as far as I think we need to unpack it. But there were always different companies that felt like, well, maybe I could get in on this angle on James Bond because it's not part of that canon that company owns.
Yeah.
Which is also, I get that Casino Royale in the 60s with David Niven.
Yeah. It's odd. And it's definitely the result of a rights dispute. And if you watch
it's also Thunderball again. It's the same story.
Right. So if we were to include that, we would just say Thunderball, but older.
Which is not the story that you're like, let's repeat that one.
Yeah, no. Oh, boy. So they did some different things, but not enough to really warrant talking about. Let's continue.
It doesn't feel like a remake of Thunderball. It's just not different enough. Yeah. And Connery's getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah.
Although all Bonds tend to like get old in the role.
They do.
It's like a thing that happens.
Okay, let's keep watching.
Sean Connery stars as James Bond, England's most Scottish spy.
I'm a very nervous passenger.
A secret agent who was already too old for this by his second outing.
Whatever you say, old man.
But James brings a unique set of skills to the table, like being famous.
My God, you just killed James Bond.
Disguise. Fighting like your drunk stepdad.
Yeah, pause.
And being one of the
There's so many fights in across this early series where it's just James Bond just brawling. He's just like a caveman, like throwing furniture at the other guy, grunting.
That's maybe the biggest change in like how action is shot today. Like basically in 2021 action movies, everyone knows martial arts. Like in the Fast and Furious movies, you could just pick it up by watching people and start kicking ass like almost immediately.
Yeah.
And in these movies, it's very like most people don't really know how to fight.
No,
And so
they
you
all
just
look like bar fights, which is, I guess,
grapple, you know?
realistic. Yeah, they're just two
Right.
drunk Europeans just grappling with each
Well,
other.
I mean, like, that's what I would be like in a fight. Like, I'm not gonna like suddenly like I don't know how to do like tiger style or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody tries to hit me, I'm just gonna like grab their
Well,
leg
I mean,
and try to like.
to be fair, what's funny about it is that they're fighting like two dads outside a little league game, but then it'll cut to like a single judo chop, and then that'll be what ends the fight. Is like he remembers his judo, or he'll do like one little wrist lock and it'll end.
Because they are not regular people. They're like assassins and spies, and like you would think they would have had fight training and whatever, which is not a thing that was actually.
I mean, even the most highly trained fighters, you watch UFC and it's mostly like people just wrestling on the ground.
Right, just like hitting you in the back of the head until you like get disoriented.
Yeah. So thrilling stuff. Okay, keep going.
All-time greatest Baccaraters. Baccaratists? Baccarat guys.
Carte. 8.
Yeah, no clue what's going on here. This game might as well be Quidditch.
Pause.
James won't bond alone.
Do you know about Baccarat? I think you try to get closest to 9, I think. And you're like, it's like blackjack, but it's like who's can get to 9. That's all I know.
All I know is it's like you bet with, you don't have chips, you have like plates, like weird little like card shaped discs,
like medallions, and there's a shoe they like passed around like a
they've got like a
board.
paddle. They're right. It's a very I mean, it looks made up, like it looks like a fantasy movie game that they're playing, like it's Dejaric or something.
Yeah,
it's like, well, all right, I guess I'll just go with it.
I mean, didn't they the Craig films, they changed it to poker, right? To Texas Hold'em.
Yes. Well, in Casino Royale, he's playing in a Texas Hold'em tournament. And that's what I love is this scene, Baccarat, a game not a lot of Americans know how to play, no explanation as to how the game works. But Texas Hold'em, a game basically everybody understands, they still feel the need to have Jeffrey Wright explain the entire game to Eva Green in that movie.
Yeah. I think that's a missed opportunity.
It's the river, and so they'll have.
If you're going to explain the card game, anyways, just explain Baccarat. I wish I knew how it worked. It'd be cool to know.
If you're gonna it's like have Jeffrey Wright explain to me Baccarat. Actually, have gotten something out of that scene.
Oh well, remake Casino. The next Bond, bring
I
back
just
Baccarat.
Think, honestly, just like somebody hired Jeffrey Wright to just explain Baccarat, like make it a one-off YouTube video.
Welcome to my masterclass. This is the shoe. Okay, let's keep
Baccarat.
Joining him is M, a character you could easily replace with a self-destructing tape player from Mission Impossible. Q, the only mad scientist on Bond's side, who gives him every gadget from Chekhov's poison briefcase to Chekhov's helicopter briefcase. Miss Moneypenny, proof that MI6 may have an M and a Q, but it's definitely missing an H and an R.
Next time I see you, I'll put you across my knee.
On yogurt and lemon juice? I can hardly wait.
Pause.
And whichever
What does that mean on yogurt and lemon juice?
No idea. No idea.
It's the way she says it. I know it's something extremely horny, but can maybe some of our UK viewers? I feel like
this is either a UK thing or it's a 60s thing. Like, is it like this was a thing women were eating, or there was some sort of thing you were supposed to do with yogurt and lemon juice in that era? Or it's a British expression that we just not understand.
Yeah, my only hunch is it's like Cockney rhyming slang. As I learned from Ocean's 11, we're in Barney Rubble, trouble. Right. Is there anything that rhymes with that? I was racking my brain, and it's just a weird, horny non sequitur. That's all I came up with.
Yeah, I don't think it's like apples and pears and stairs. Yeah, I don't know what yogurt and lemon juice would mean. It's very strange.
Anyways, Moneypenny, hornier than James Bond, which is saying something.
Don't ever say that to your boss's receptionist, folks. Because I'm going to come out and just say, you ever happen to be talking to your boss's receptionist, and you're like, "I'll see you soon." Don't threaten to put them over your knee.
All right, keep playing.
Lucky girl James traps on his sex boat at the end of each film.
They can't refuse because of the implication.
But no matter how great the risk, if you help James Bond accomplish his mission, he will never let you get killed.
Now don't worry, Quarrel, everything's going to be fine.
Okay, maybe once.
Pause. I think they parodied that scene in Austin Powers or something like that, because that is the most slowly advancing tank flamethrower death put to cinema.
Yeah.
He could move
he's really
in
just
any
sitting.
direction at any time, and that tank just slowly rolls up to him before it hits him with the flamethrower. It's beautiful.
I love that several characters in the film express their fervent belief that that is a real dragon.
It's a real dragon.
And then you see it from very far away. It is very clearly a truck.
Yeah, no, that's someone painted teeth on a tank.
That is a tank or a truck. That is not an animal. What is wrong with you? No one would make this mistake.
Yeah, one of the sillier, smaller moments. But that was the first one, right? That was Dr. No?
That's Dr. No.
Yeah, so that was
and
like
that's probably, I haven't read Dr. No, the book, but that's probably taken. I bet that's in the book.
Yeah, it reads better on the page than when you see
that's
what's very clearly a Jeep with
I think the
teeth on it.
technology maybe wasn't there to make a more realistic
Yeah, they did the best with what they could.
Yeah.
All right, keep playing.
Restaurant car. They killed each other.
Once or twice.
You wanted to ask me some questions.
Okay, constantly. Oh, hey, it almost looked like he cared about her. Oh, you know what that's called? Character growth. Set off on your typical Connery Bond adventure that begins with a lounge singer bursting a blood vessel. Before globetrotting from the bluest depths of the ocean
There's a debated story. I can't quite track down whether it's true or not, that Tom Jones actually passed out when he hit that note.
It's like an urban legend that Tom Jones hit the high note in Thunderball and then collapsed literally in the sound booth. But I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that it's true.
I think Tom Jones doesn't get enough love these days.
I had an ex who really loved Tom Jones, and I went and saw him. So I've seen him live at the Hollywood Bowl, and he's a very old man now, and he still like does the sexy dances and like rips his shirt open with the chest hair, and women still like throw things on stage for him. Like it is that the bit has not changed since the heyday of Tom.
That's amazing. Yeah, I saw similarly Tony Bennett. I saw like, I don't know, 5-10 years ago. He was already very old and can still sing like a top Vegas show pony lounge singer. It's great.
Tom Jones was amazing. He did like What's New Pussycat and She's a Lady and like all the classic
Sex Bomb. Sex Bomb's my favorite Tom Jones song.
Did not do Thunderball. What
That's yeah. All right, anyways, keep playing.
The most exotic locales you can pretend to drive through, where Bond will track the bad guy to their bachelor pad of evil, quip on the still warm grave of their henchmen.
Oh, he blew a fuse.
Then take down the real threat, a rich European man with the physique of an egg. This is the ideal evil body. You may not like it, but this is what peak evil performance looks like. In between all the classic moments.
He would actually have to fight these guys at the end of the film. And it's a little bit of like the John Wick problem where like once you've dispatched all the henchmen and the underlings and the super martial artists they deployed to stop you, then you have to fight like the old Russian crime boss at the end somehow. And it just never makes for the best conclusion. It's always more exciting to watch him fight Oddjob or Jaws or the underlings with the special powers.
The classic move in a lot of movies that they'll do is like he's not a looming physical threat, the main bad guy, but he'll like grab a key hostage, you know? So it's like, well, he's got the girl. So what are you gonna do now, hotshot? Bond usually does not go that way. Already, like the bad guy has already murdered whoever James was with for the duration of the movie. And so they just have to he has to just like fight this like 50-year-old German man.
How all good things come to an end.
Yeah.
All right, keep playing.
Do you remember?
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Settle in for all the classic busy work you forgot these old movies were full of as you join Bond on a marathon of exciting meetings, briefings, and interviews.
The Prime Minister and the President have talked together over the hotline and have agreed that unless the bombs are recovered, payment will have to be made.
Watch him meticulously secure his bed.
There's a ton of, in these early films, actual intelligence gathering legwork. And sure, that does fill in the gaps of how James Bond came to uncover the issue and exactly who told him what and what he knew at every time. But it is very slow going. They did not master doing like something else on screen while exposition is being like snuck in. It's really just James Bond talking to people in like one-on-one meetings for a lot of it with not much else happening.
Yeah. There's always this weird unexplained, like in the newer Bond movies, they explain the weird like hostility between like M and Bond, you know, like Judi Dench, it was always like, you're a dinosaur. You're from the Cold War. You're not how we do things anymore, whatever. But in these old movies, they just don't like each other, and it's never really unpacked. They're just both irritated by one another the whole time.
I mean, I picked up that that James was like just unreliable, and he would kind of drop off the map and show up really drunk. And, well, but he gets results.
They have.
Yeah, he's one of their best men, but like he's always, you know, in the middle of partying or gambling or drinking or with some woman when he gets called in. And you can tell M just doesn't sanction that buffoonery.
I guess. I don't know. It's just like you always wait for it to get like to raise the stakes or something, and it's just like nope. They're just kind of passive aggressive at work.
Yeah,
weird work shit. You know,
he's not good at what he does. I mean, he's good because he always wins at the end of the day.
There is at what he does, except for Wolverine.
But he's always getting sidetracked by you know what. Constantly.
Listen, he loves the ladies.
He loves the ladies, as we'll talk about shortly.
Sometimes you have to take a break from your important spy work to go settle a dispute at a gypsy camp. This is part of...
Whoever your target is, I find it's best to first have sex with their girlfriend, and then things really come to a conclusion much more simply. All right, keep playing.
Rooms.
Spycraft.
Yeah.
Yep. It's bugged.
Gotta check all that stuff out.
Get driving directions.
You leave the Port Royal Road out of Kingston, then along the Windward Road until you get to the cement factory. Then you turn left. Follow the road up the hill, down the other side.
Otherwise, I'd be wondering how he got there.
And check into his hotel.
We're here to make your stay as pleasant as possible.
That's really most kind of you.
Do we really need this part?
Mr. Bond, your room is ready.
We do?
My key is 304, please.
Thank you.
Again?
So much.
Good night, Mr. Bond.
Well, I think it's about hotel time.
Why? Return to a time where
I guess it's part and parcel of the appeal of these movies is it's globetrotting, but we just don't need to see the specifics of how he got his room key.
Like the exotic, the locales, like shooting on location, like when he's at the pyramids, like that's there in Tokyo, you know, like that's the exciting stuff about globetrotting. That you could shoot the hotel. We know that that's in a soundstage.
Start with him entering the hotel room.
Shepperton Studios or whatever.
Hey, where'd he get that room key?
Yeah, it's like we could surmise that there was somebody at the front desk who greeted him and took his bags. Like I can assume that part.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
A very strange thing that you only would notice watching them all in a row.
It was more exciting back then to go visit a hotel. It was not a thing people were doing all the time. And they were just it was like wish fulfillment, fantasy, escapism.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to go to a hotel and somebody's going to call me sir.
Yeah. The next Bond is just going to be like flipping through like Expedia or like hotels.com links, like trying to find an open room.
Just trying to remember his login, like his password, stuff like that.
And what is the Wi-Fi?
There's free Wi-Fi here. Yeah,
I'm seeing. I do want to. I know we're not ready for comments yet, but people are correcting how dumb we're being. It's because Bond's at a spa, so she's saying you're only eating yogurt and lemon juice. You'll be too weak to spank. That's the explanation.
You're on yogurt and lemon juice, as in like you're on a diet of.
Right. He's at a health spa. We weren't thinking about this because those aren't really. That's not what you'd eat at a health spa in 2021.
Not only is it not a health spa thing, but it's the context of what she's. I'll have you over my knee. Her response is on yogurt and lemon juice, as in like she would cover herself in yogurt and lemon juice.
Right. That's what we were thinking. But no, she's saying you're only eating a diet of yogurt and lemon juice. You'll be too.
How are you going to spank me?
You won't be able to properly give me a proper spanking.
Oh, great.
I think they're right. I don't think that's like it's not good writing, but I agree that
it does make sense.
The commenters are correct. I think that's the correct answer.
Yeah. Okay, great. Now I have that image perfectly burned into my retinas. All right, let's keep playing.
Was a drunken chain smoker, so it didn't take too much to knock him out cold.
And
very well done, guys.
Oh, I didn't say pause. I just meant fall.
Like they all collapse.
To the point where being a sober incel gave you superpowers.
Vargas does not drink, does not smoke, does not make love.
and watch James take on Spectre, the vegans
Respects
of
gaming
crime,
journalism.
and that it's only a matter of time before they let you know that they're Inspector.
I'm a member of Spectre, Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, Extortion.
Oh, I'm now working for Spectre.
Spectre always delivers what he promises.
Welcome to Spectre Island.
These Illuminatis have an evil plan to disrupt the space program, steal nuclear missiles, and, well, they just kind of ping-pong between those two plans. There's a real brain drain when you keep killing your coworkers.
Yeah, pause. And like Spectre's whole modus operandi was that it's smarter. It's like a more impressive feat of intelligence to do great criminal things rather than great law-abiding things. But they don't seem very smart. They seem kind of basic. Not gonna lie.
It's just like it's so weird that it's like this weird self-fulfilling thing. Like, what are they after? And then it's like, well, money, I guess, but then they're using the money to fund their evil projects. But then the evil projects are always about like bilking someone for money or blackmailing someone for money. It's like, what's the end
I think it is
like,
about, I think they say it in Dr. No, it's like, it's about showing off and like showing that you're the smartest dude around by pulling off these schemes.
It's Cobra. Like it's G.I. Joe and Cobra have the same relationship as MI6 and Spectre, where it's like they basically just exist to be counter forces. They're neither of them are really trying to progress anywhere. They're just there to like be a rival for the other.
No, it's a dangerous game that keeps them all employed. All right.
It also seems like you would not like working for Spectre is like, what do I get out of this other than if I don't do a good job, I'm immediately murdered? Like,
I don't know. Why do people work at SpaceX or Netflix?
I mean, granted, working for Elon Musk might not be great, but if you disappoint him, he does not just shoot you on the assembly line.
You're right.
I don't think so.
No, he totally doesn't do that. Parody. All right, keep playing.
This is why SpaceX will never get to Mars. Bond may have a license to kill, but it's the Bond girls who give him a license to say puss. Every girl James meets along the way has the shape of an hourglass and the name of a drag queen.
Sylvia Trench. Plenty O'Toole.
Pussy galore.
Honey.
Plenty O'Toole.
What's so funny about it?
And whether they get to be a character with their own motives and agenda, or a sexy baby who just kind of washes up on shore, Bond will get them into bed with little more than a look.
All the things I do for England.
Except for the times when he has to force them.
Yeah, the romantic music is not helping.
Or blackmail them.
I'd lose my job.
I suppose my silence could have a price.
You don't mean...
And that's before he smacks them around a little. Though how much of this is Bond and how much is Connery, we'll never know.
Yeah, pause.
I think it's absolutely.
I know we say how much this is Bond and how much this is Connery, but like, how much do you know about Ian Fleming's marriage and like relationship throughout his life? Because it's crazy. If you want to know,
I don't really know about this.
I don't have like the notes in front of me to give like a true deep dive, but it was like a decades long affair with his eventual wife, who was like part of high society and he wasn't, and they had like a S&M tinged affair for a very long time with some very interesting power dynamics that kind of inform why James Bond might accost women and also get tied up a lot himself. There's some really interesting sexual politics at play.
There's that we included in this montage. I like couldn't believe when I was watching Diamonds Are Forever opens with a whole montage. It's like the opening before the he shoots into the gun or whatever. And it's him just going around beating people up, asking where's Blofeld. Like he's just like you don't even see Bond. You just see like his fists come in, like where is Blofeld? Smack. And there's a shot of him on the beach, and he walks up to this random woman. We have no context on who she is. He grabs her. He grabs off her bikini top and uses it as like handcuffs to tie her up.
Yeah.
First of all, how do you even realize you can do that? Like, did he practice that maneuver? Did he?
Q has like a mannequin.
Yeah. Now see here, 007, you grab the bra behind the strap, and you like it's such a bizarre. It's a really weird fetishized thing.
It's insane. So if you're interested, go read the letters between Ian Fleming and his wife throughout the years. They're very
also
shocking.
I will add, when Lana Wood introduces herself as Plenty O'Toole, James's response is, named for your father, perhaps? Like, it's like a joke about her father's genitals?
Tool?
Saying her dad had Plenty O'Toole?
I don't know. We have Ryan O'Toole, our producer. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, that's how it's carried down. Yeah, you confirm.
That's a weird thing to say to somebody you've just met, even in a flirtatious way. Like, even as innuendo, that's like, what?
I get that all the time. That's just something that people say to us.
Well,
Tell me about your father's penis.
You go by Ryan Plenty O'Toole.
Right, yeah.
Okay, let's keep going.
You're right.
To give her a good slap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yikes. So enjoy this iconic defender of the empire, responsible for most of the world's problems, in an English fantasy where they're still at the center of geopolitics, as we salute this heroic dinosaur who simply refuses to go extinct, no matter how many times he should have been killed by Spectre. Or liver disease.
I told the stewardess, liquor for 3.
Who are the other 2?
Oh, there are no other 2.
Or chlamydia.
They're both yours.
Or parody.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
Or bankruptcy.
Unfortunately, they ran out of money.
Or Swedish humping machine. Or just plain old irrelevance.
That's as bad as listening to the Beatles without earmuffs.
We all keep coming back for more. And by more, I mean Lazenby, then Connery, then Moore, Craig, Brosnan, Dalton. Yeah, that's my ranking. Fight me.
Pause. Yeah, being a little bit trollish because I just think he's underrated, and I would put him 1A and 1B with Connery, but you know, gotta put it in the form of a joke. So there you go.
I just really don't like this because it's very unfair to Dalton. It was terrific, and I like both of his movies.
There are a lot of Dalton stands.
I think it's an age, like, we're in the era now where people like me grew up watching the Daltons, and so there's a lot of fondness for them there. But I mean, that's a great example of just what we were talking about, how they're very 80s. Like, License to Kill almost has like a Miami Vice kind of vibe to it.
I think they go to it's like a Miami drug dealer.
Yeah, it's like they're right. It's Bond versus like a cartel. And yeah, like, so I think that stuff is a lot of fun.
So what is the next Bond gonna be? It's probably gonna have to be like the MCU, probably be a superhero or something like that. Like, what are these next ones gonna be in response
basically
to?
Yeah. I would love for them to go back in time. Like, if you're going to start over with a new Bond anyway, just like make it the 60s again, and we can do Cold War stories and make the Soviets the bad guys, and like, wouldn't that be fun? Like, to
back
have
to basics,
yeah, like a run of 3 or 4 movies where we just like don't have to worry about who's the villain. Like, oh, it's a tech mogul, North Korea. Like, you know, like, the world now is not as fun for this kind of story.
But weren't we talking about this yesterday? Was this Bond? We were talking about it should be set in 1999.
You're right. Yes, he's at Woodstock 99.
He's at Woodstock 99.
Like listening to Limp Bizkit without earmuffs.
I did it all for the nookie. All right, we're almost done. Let's keep going.
Starring #MeTubelo7, Judi Dench, Origins, Tinker Tailor Older Guy, Simpet, Dr. No, Daniel Craig, I love gold, Blowhard. You can't play his odd job. He's shorter. That's cheating. Dick Fury. Fellas, is it gay to try to assassinate James Bond with your bros?
I love that.
Soviet vehicle physics.
Like, it's not even just that everything explodes, but it's always like there's like a beat
Bad
between
editing.
the thing that happens and that would cause the explosion.
What is it?
I'll show you.
Nature, you scary.
Waits until the survivor is so exhausted that he cannot defend himself.
Yeah, a lot of creepy crawlies.
You will see that my piranha fish get very hungry.
Pause. The way to kill James Bond was it a trained spider, or was it just
a tarantula?
Just put a tarantula in his hotel room and let nature take its course.
It's just like that. That'll definitely take care of it. Like I can't imagine that waking anybody up. A massive hairy spider crawling on them.
It's just a very long sequence of a spider crawling on his bed, and then he just hammers it to death with a shoe. Action.
There's a lot of. That's one of the scenes I think that's there to like lovingly gaze upon Sean Connery shirtless. Like there's a lot of beats in these films that are just let's take a breather to enjoy a shirtless.
I will
Sean
say,
Connery.
to the degree that there is nudity, it's very equal opportunity. Sean Connery is in like the tiniest shorts and no shirt in a lot of these. It just tells you like his swag, for lack of a better word, that he wears tiny terry cloth shorts and like a jumper, like a little terry cloth jumper in like 2 of the movies. And you're like, yeah, he's cool. That guy looks really cool.
Yeah, this guy making it happen.
It's like a powder blue, like little towel onesie, and you're like, damn, Sean Connery was the shit.
Yeah, it would a tough guy in modern day films would not spend nearly as much time in like health spa type environment.
Health spa briefs.
Like, he's very frequently in just like a robe, like getting
in like
treatment
he's in like a bikini wetsuit at one point, like in Thunderball, like it covers his upper body, but he's in like little wetsuit underwear. Daniel Craig put on the tidy whatevers for.
I mean, like Daniel Craig, there are also scenes in the new Bond films showing off Daniel Craig's admittedly very impressive physique as well, but I don't think it's quite as leering as these were in terms of like Connery with his shirt off, which is obviously like was a major attraction for these movies.
When is Bond going to be brave enough to hang dong is my question. When are we going to get a Bond dong on screen?
Thunder Dong coming 2024.
Dong, James Dong. I think the next one that should be a requirement, at least side hog. Anyways,
at the end of the movies it's always like James Bond will return and James Bond will drop trow in Thunderdong.
All right, keep playing.
You know how I know you're an alcoholic?
I'd say it was a 30-year-old fiend indifferently blended, sir, with an overdose of Bon Bois.
51, I believe.
There is no year for sherry, 007.
I was referring to the original vintage on which the sherry is based, sir. 1851. Unmistakable.
I like sake. Especially when it's served at the correct temperature. 98.4 degrees Fahrenheit, like this is.
And Kobe!
Got rid of the hat toss.
Yeah, this was like clearly one of the original
my next
built-in
miracle,
tropes.
The spy who f***ed me. Okay, so what's up with the gun barrel opening? I know it's a classic, but like, is that what a bullet sees before it fires? And if the guy holding the gun gets shot, why do we see blood dripping down if we're inside the gun?
Fun.
Yeah, does not. And I like, it's weird that I never thought about it before, but I was like, as I was watching for the Honest trailer, I was like, wait, what are we even seeing here?
Yeah, it's not even James Bond.
It eventually it is. In the first like 3 or 4 movies, it is literally a random person. And then eventually they were like
POV, you are James Bond's gun and you're losing a gunfight with this random guy in a bowler hat.
Like, should we put James Bond over there so he wins the gunfight? That would make more sense.
Anywho, I imagine we have some deleted scenes, though I'm not sure what. It's a long trailer, but we must have cut something out. So let's roll those if we got them.
Starring Mission Impossible, The Spylander, Scotch Nag, Dial M for Middle Management, Penny Lane, Ham. I don't know what to do with my hands. A poor helpless man being psychically controlled by an evil cat. This gold-bricking ass. Knock knocks. Who's there? Auric. Auric who? I don't expect you to talk, Mr. Bond.
Didn't quite crack that one.
The lead of Extraordinarily Horny Gentleman. Bond. Government Bond. MI6.
The titles make those. Well done again, Holtby. That's really
those
good
are
stuff.
above and beyond every time.
All right, let's get into fan questions.
There's a lot.
Callum Armour asks, are you going to do any of the other Bonds? I mean, we'll do No Time to Die, I'm sure. And we should do, someone else asked, I've lost it for a moment, but are we going to do every Roger Moore Bond? Jim one asked that. Yeah, I would love to do every Moore Bond. They're certainly different enough to.
I think we could do these for. Dalton and Lazenby would be tricky because there's just not that many movies. But otherwise, I think we could do cool ones for like every Brosnan.
Every Brosnan would be great. Yeah, I would love to do that. So yeah, we'll do it. Evan J. Pretzer asks, Adam West was almost Bond in Diamonds Are Forever. Would that have been a great Bond or the greatest Bond? Someone else asked a similar question of like people who almost played James Bond that you would have liked to see. I just found out that Jim Brolin was screen tested for Bond, or
really?
James Brolin. That's very odd. I've never heard him do a British accent, but I'm kind of intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought Americans would be just like, no, like they're just like, there's a lot of Americans who have like that kind of cool swagger you could see doing the part, but it's just so like you have to be from at least the Commonwealth. Like even if you're not, even if you're from England, I mean, like they want you to be somewhere that was once owned by Britain that didn't have like a revolution.
You would think. Yeah, he was a dashing young man. I could see him as James Bond if he could nail the accent. You know, why not?
Well, he's PW Herman in the Pee-wee's Big Adventure big screen adaptation where they turn him into a super spy.
Well, there you go.
You know what I'm talking about. At the end of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, where they go see the movie that was made about Pee-wee.
Yeah,
James Brolin's playing PW.
Oh, wow.
And Morgan Fairchild is Dottie.
Oh, I see.
You still not know what I'm talking about?
The end of the film,
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
But Lon, do you have an almost Bond that you would have liked to see?
Oh, I mean, I feel like we've all kind of conceded the point that Idris Elba is now like a little long in the tooth and probably missed his window, but he's a guy that there was a lot of heat behind that I think would have been a kick-ass James Bond.
Yeah, agreed. All right, to Matan Valensky asks, after Spectre ripped off Goldmember, do you think Austin Powers should come back for an outdated but well-needed parody of the dark and gritty Bond wave of the 2000s?
Wait, how did Spectre rip off Goldmember?
I don't know. Maybe they can elaborate on that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm just curious to hear more.
Yeah, you know, when what's his name? The Hans Landa, is that actor?
Oh, Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz. Yeah, he kept picking his scabs and keeping them in a little box.
He does. They hate the Dutch, so I think.
But yes, of course, I would love for them to try to do a modern Bond-born Mission Impossible, like another Top Secret, basically. Let's get Val Kilmer to make Top Secret again.
Wow, great! I feel like we're only ever 1 or 2 meetings away from a new Austin Powers, anyway, right? So this would be a perfect thing for them to jump in on. Maybe MacGruber is kind of going to take some of that. I feel like the Peacock MacGruber series might live in this world already.
Yep. Oh, this is interesting. Well, Ryan, maybe this is a question from Ryan. There's no name attached.
I just brought it up. Yeah.
Okay. In Skyfall, they were originally thinking about bringing Connery back as the old caretaker of the Bond estate. Was it smart to skip that stunt casting, or would it have been cool? I mean, that would have really kicked off the whole like Bond as a code name passed on to different agents fan theory. Which,
well, you know, it's explained. It's like the caretaker who knew Bond as a kid. He wouldn't have been playing. He'd be playing the character Albert Finney plays.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it would have been implied he was the old James Bond. It would have been a cool way to like kind of just, you know.
It was just a wink and a nod. And if you go back and watch that, he's making all these kind of like one-liners that if they maybe thought that was Connery saying them, they make a lot more sense. Like talking about Scotland and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely written with Connery in mind, even if they maybe didn't think he would do it.
Yeah, and Mendes, and I think, you know, the rest of them just knew, like, all right, that'd probably be just a little too distracting of a stunt casting and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how far it ever made, but I just knew that they had talked about that.
Oh,
but yeah.
I just assumed Connery said no, and we're like, all right.
That also might be what they're covering for, that he just never got back to them. They're like, actually, we didn't want to.
Yeah, I guess not. It would be cool to do the reunion of the Bonds of like you do that, you lean into it like, oh, it was a code name, and here's Pierce Brosnan and Sean Connery and Roger Moore, but so many of them are either dead or disgruntled with their experience on James Bond. Daniel Craig wouldn't come back, Pierce Brosnan wouldn't come back. Like,
Pierce Brosnan's like, I'm Dr. Fate now. I don't need you anymore.
I'm iconic character, Dr. Fate.
Just while we're here, the Spectre Goldmember clear up is because the whole adoptive brother thing. The whole like, the villain.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I get. All right. Well. Gotcha. Fair enough. All
right. Well, that about wraps up Bond for us today. Super fun to talk about. Super fun to rewatch. Just a pleasure compared to some of the other things we have to watch around here. because next week's coming up. It's not bad, but it's definitely evil. So that is your clue for next week's Honest Trailer. Will evil make it to next week, or will it die tonight? You be the judge. We'll see you then.
Like if you've seen the movie, you
know what we're talking about. Yeah. So we'll see you then. If you haven't seen what I'm talking about, maybe give it a watch before then. It's fine. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.